Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Impact Farming Show. Today, I have two amazing gentlemen joining me. I have Bruce Lowe and Baillie Shewkenek. How are you guys doing today?
Awesome. Thanks, Tracy, for having us.
Good.
Absolutely good.
Good. Bruce, you are a familiar face. For those of you guys that are regular viewers, you'll know Bruce Lowe. He is the Executive Vice President at Ag Direct Hale, and Baillie Shewkenek is the Prairie Claims Manager at Ag Direct Hale. So today we are going to be doing an exciting episode on hail insurance. Bruce, you've been at this a while. We've chatted a few times. Can you share more about Ag Direct Hale, their history, what makes you stand apart from the competitors, and introduce our audience to Ag Direct Hale?
Absolutely, Tracy. And again, thank you for having us. It's hard to imagine. It's been just over a decade now that we started Ag Direct Hale. And our original model, and it's still our model, is that we wanted to save hardworking prairie farmers money on their crop hail insurance. So when we looked at everything, there is real risk and there is obviously payouts when it comes to crop hail insurance. But there was a cost associated with crop hail insurance that we thought that we can eliminate. And that cost was the cost of using a broker to facilitate the transaction of purchasing crop hail insurance. At the time, brokers were making in the neighborhood of 8 to 10% on a policy. So if a typical policy is in the $15,000, $20,000 range, a broker was standing to make somewhere in the neighborhood of, $2,000 to put the coverage on. And candidly, not that complicated, Tracy. Just going to be honest. Now, I say that, but there is a very, very big, there are a lot of farmers that do like to use brokers. They feel like they're A, too busy and they just want to get it done. B, they appreciate the input sometimes and the counsel their broker offers, and maybe being part of the claims process. So not knocking brokers, but for farmers that wanted to do it on their own, we found that niche. And certainly what's happened last 10 years is Ag Direct has grown to one of the largest crop hail insurance providers on the prairies. We're awfully proud of that. When we can cut out and have extremely competitive rates, and we couple that with, some compelling customer service, professional claims handling. You add all those things together, and we think we have a pretty strong offering for prairie farmers.
Excellent. So today we have a really exciting announcement. Are you ready to share that? I think the Prairie Canadian farmers are going to be really excited about this.
Well, I'll tell you, Tracy, we sat, as we do at the end of every year, recap the year, and we said, how did it go? What can we be doing better? What can we, maybe change a little bit? And one of the overwhelming themes in this off season was what farmers continually face. And listen, farmers face a lot of adversity year in and year out. They get it. They're farmers. We actually have a lot of farmers on staff as well. So we understand that the challenges that farmers face, but this year in particular feels a little different. There's the interest rates and there's, slightly lower commodity prices. So this year, Ag Direct Hale is taking the unprecedented move of holding our crop hail insurance rates at or below what we sold them for in 2023. And I don't mean in some townships. I don't mean in many townships. In over 8,500 townships that we sell in, whether you had hail or not last year, that's the big caveat here, whether you had hail or not, because as you know, typically with any insurance, you have a claim, guess what happens? Rates go up. We've held them right across the line because we said this year that we wanted to do something special to thank farmers for what they do each and every day and each and every year, put quality food on our table. And this is kind of our way of saying thank you.
Wow, that's a real treat. With everything going on, poor farmers, left, right, and center, right? So to finally have something that is not increasing in price, that is a real treat.
Well, I sit back and say, I challenge other suppliers, whether it's the fertilizers, whether like a lot of input costs keep going up, everything, labor costs going up, fuel costs keep going up. And if everyone was able to pitch in and say, you know what, this is the year, farmers need a break, let's hold the line. Gosh, it would be just, it would be welcome news, I'm sure, for every prairie farm. But I'm going to tell you, Ag Direct's going to do their part this year.
Nice. Well, on behalf of the farmers, I thank you, Bruce. Truly. Oh, okay. So that is super exciting. Great way to start the episode. Price is important. Business, it's about price, right? But here's the thing, as farmers, a lot of what we do is relationship based, and it's not all about price. Process, how they're treated is important. So why don't we talk about settling claims and the adjustment process? That's super important to farmers. Do you want to touch on
Well, you can't, honestly, you hit the nail on the head, Tracy, because I hear that over and over again. Well, yeah, it's not just about price, and it absolutely isn't. Price is a way of getting in the door and saying, you know what, we have a very competitive price, and certainly Ag Direct has that. But we need to peel back and go way deeper than that. And it goes back to having that compelling quality customer service and the professional claims handling. When you pick up the phone and need to talk to someone at Ag Direct, I'll just say probably over half the time I'm going to be one picking up the phone because I love doing it, and our rest of our customer service don't like the fact that I'm raced to pick up the phone because that's what I enjoy doing. I love talking to farmers. But then there's the other side of it. They have a claim, and let's face it, here's their livelihood, and they've put coverage with us. And the next step is, how are they going to be treated when it comes? And that's why I brought Baillie along, because in my opinion, in the opinion of many, Baillie is not only what I've said to him many times, one of the smartest guys on the prairies when it comes to loss adjusting, if not the smartest guy when it comes to loss adjusting. Baillie has integrity, character, and the will to make sure a farmer gets paid what they're owed, paid fairly for every loss adjustment. And Baillie knows, and this is not, I'll tell you the way we operate. There's only one person in charge of our claims handling, that's Baillie Shewkenek. So when it comes to settling claims, there's never any discussion other than put a check in that farmer's hand that fairly represents their loss, period, end of story. And that man does that for us. So, Baillie.
the main man here, Baillie? Welcome. Okay, why don't we just roll right in and talk about the process and start with the producer. He realizes he received hail damage on his crop. What happens now?
Well, Tracy, one of the most effective features of online insurance is that once you've purchased your policy online, all of your fields are recorded and they're on that screen. If you find you've had hail, you check your fields and you say, okay, if I have, say, 20 items and 10 of them have been hit, you move straight to that screen on your computer and with your mouse, you click, 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 and then hit submit. And that claim automatically arrives in our claims office. You immediately receive confirmation that your claim has been received by the office. And following that, within 72 hours at most, someone from the claims office will contact the producer, asking the producer about the severity of the storm, the type of damage that they suffered, perhaps the size of the hailstones, and some of the concerns that they personally have now that their fields have suffered or been destroyed. But we stay continually in contact with the producer. That 72-hour time period is when we actually contact them. And from that point onward, then an adjuster would be assigned to the claim. And that adjuster would then contact the producer, and the claim would be serviced or looked at, adjusted in accordance with the type of damage that actually was suffered. In the early stages of crop development, the bruises sometimes don't show right away. So we need time for the dry down or the senescence of the crop. But in the later part of the season, what happens, the crop is dry, we could move out to the field and do the adjustment within a day or two of the claim having been reported. But everything we do is done in conjunction and in correspondence with the producer.
Nice. That sounds so lovely. I got to say that. There is nothing worse than being a producer and your livelihood's threatened and then nobody's getting back to you. That sounds so seamless. So thank you for sharing that. Do you want to touch a little bit more on who your adjusters are? Do you want to share that?
Well, absolutely, Tracy. What we're most proud of is that over the 11 years that we've been in operation, we have strived very effectively to produce a team of people who are not just qualified professionals and licensed, for example, in the province of Saskatchewan by a regulatory exam, but we strive to find, and it may sound simple, but it's extremely accurate. We want kindly, nice people on our team. The most important thing that we must keep in mind is that a producer may be very stressed. They've placed all kinds of money into their crop. They have expectations, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, they lose all of the crop or a portion of the crop. They want to know that they're going to be dealing with someone who is kindly and nice, and by that I mean compassionate and understands what their loss is. Now, we take our adjusters, we put them through a training program every summer. It's a 3-day conference. We do in-field, in-service work throughout the season, and we operate as a team. We're extremely effective in that manner. We're constantly sending pictures of crops to one another, indicating what we're finding in certain areas, perhaps sharing information about adjusting procedures and the best way to meet finding the actual loss that's on the field. We're a very effective team, and this year we're proud to say that we brought in even an agronomist onto our team, and we're building toward greater and greater strength.
Oh, I love it. And I like the part about kind and compassionate and caring, right? Same thing. You're stressed out, and there's nothing worse than talking to somebody and you're like, they just don't care. So that's beautiful. I like that. Okay.
Well, if I can just further on that, Tracy, because that's exactly right. You know, Baillie hit on the nail on the head when he talked about stressed, and farmers want to be talked to, not talked down to. And when you can go out there and again, the quality, the knowledge base of our adjusters, and be able to explain succinctly what we're looking at and ensuring that the farmer is seeing the same thing, there should be really no question at the end of the adjustment that we're on the same page. If we're all out there together seeing the same things, and that's where our guys are making sure they take the time to be thorough with the farmer, explain, answer questions, answer whatever, because at the end of the day, our goal, as I said already, is just to make sure we put a check in the farmer's hand that fairly represents their loss, because you know what? That's what they've told us they want. I hear that 1,000 times if I've heard it once. Just be fair, just pay me what I'm owed. Absolutely.
Ooh, love it.
Also, too, Tracy, I might add that one of the most important things that we look at is working with the producer. It's fine to say that we know how to adjust our crops, and we are very professional in what we do. Our goal is completely to pay the losses accurately as possible. But the producer needs to understand how we got to that end result. We will not adjust a crop without the producer with us, or at the very least without a designatee of the producer. But we want the insured to know every step of the way how we're deriving the results that we get. We go out to the field with the producer or the representative, and then first thing I would do is say, now, where would you like me to count? Let's look at where we see the most typical damage. And very often, most of our producers, such wonderful people, they'll pick a spot in the field that probably doesn't look like it has as much damage, but they're trying to be fair. And so we will often say, well, maybe we should look over here. But we make all those decisions with the producer, and we try to be extremely fair. And we've had great success in what we do, which is one of the reasons we're one of the largest line companies now in Western Canada. But I base that purely, not just on our prices, which Bruce is constantly looking at fine-tuning for the benefit of our producers, but the way we treat the people that we work with.
Ooh, that's
Can I just ask? Can I ask a question, Tracy?
Sure.
Baillie, can you talk a little bit about the counts? So we've arrived. We're at a quarter section, 160 acres, and we're ascertaining where the storm went through, how it went. Can you talk about the counts and how we come up with what the guys are doing with respect to that infield in that quarter doing what they do?
Certainly. Once we've assigned a claim to an adjuster, the adjuster contacts the farmer, and then they agree to a time when they'll meet and look at the fields. But the adjuster, before ever going out to that farmer's property, will draw up a map. And many of them are computer designed that we use. And we determine ahead of time where we think we should be doing the counts on those fields. We share that with the producer, and the producer may then say, well, I checked this before and I'd like to do a couple more counts in another area. We factor that into our adjusting process, but where we do the counts, that's a mutual decision between the farmer and ourselves. And we try to make sure we do a count every 25 to 40 acres, more or less, sometimes depending on what the producer would like us to do. The adjustment process is really producer driven, done, of course, by the standards of adjusting laid out by the National Crop Insurance Services Manual.
Okay. Excellent. Okay, so to recap, we have the adjuster assigned to the claim. We've touched on what happens next and the adjustment process. Do you want to add to either of those and go into detail, or where would you like to go from
Tracy,
here? You guys have so much great information.
I think the key thing to remember is that adjusters work in the summertime, and many of them that are on our team, they've had 40, 50 years of experience in the field. But none of that can possibly undermine how a producer feels when they have lost their crop or a portion of it. And in a day and age of tight margins in the farming operation, these folks need to make sure that they're assured in their mind that they're receiving every benefit that they bought that policy for. Now, having said that, you may come to the end of your claim and it can be a producer who had 30 items. So we've adjusted 30 fields. And the producer that may then say, you know, there's still a niggling thought in my mind that we should take a look at that weed up on section 10 again. I still think we might have found more loss had we examined the east side more. And we go right back to that east side and we do however many counts are necessary to satisfy the producer that they receive the full value and the benefit of our adjusting process. But it isn't just that. The hail industry does the very best it can, often in projecting loss. An early crop storm may defoliate a plant, and the expectation is, well, there could be a 15% loss by our factoring charts. That may not actually materialize. So the producer may say, well, I think that's right. The 15% should be right. All the charts and scientific data indicate that. But Mother Nature may throw a curve into it. By the end of the season, our adjustment may not have proven perfectly accurate. We always, and that's one of the key things that I think separates our company from every other company in the industry. We always. Now, I've been with the company, this is our 11th year that we've been in operation. Never once when a producer has called me have I not gone back or sent an adjuster back to reevaluate that crop.
Okay. Wow.
And that is a real distinguishing point between Ag Direct. We often say that, you know, and if farmers will say, well, yeah, you say you're going to come back. I've heard that before. Well, we come back. If we need to. Obviously, our goal is to get it right the first time. But as Baillie said, sometimes, you know, the damage doesn't fully manifest itself. And what a farmer thought was good and what we thought and what we aligned on might not be what it actually was in the end. So Bailey's told me, he's called me up and he said, hey, Bruce, I was on the combine, the yield monitor saying this. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to up it. And it's the exact same line every time. What's the right thing to do? Baillie says, increase the loss award. And I say, that's the end of the conversation. That's what we do. So that's the way we operate because we have to sleep at night. The end of the day, I'm not going to sleep if I feel like we've taken someone's, you know, premium dollars and then turned around and they've had a hail claim. And we thought we pulled one over by, you know, I can't believe the guy signed for, you know, that amount of damage. That's not the way we operate. I can't, and Baillie can't. And that's really the difference. I'm not going to say anyone else is like that or isn't like that. I know the way we are, and I'm comfortable saying we're proud of the way we loss adjust and the way we make sure that our farmers are taken care of. And that's why the word of mouth, you know, you don't get, and I'll just say this, we were one of the biggest after 5 or 6 or 7 years because word was out that, boy, oh boy, this Ag Direct company, not only you pay a fair rate, but we're doing all those other things that this industry needs to continue to maintain its credibility, you know, amongst the prairie farmers. So, you know, and I just want to say this because Baillie, I don't know if you know the number off the top, but there is recourse. If a farmer refuses to sign a proof of loss, and it happens, farmer just says, I don't agree. And we say, well, I got to be honest with you. We've done our counts. I've tried to show you this is what it is. they refuse to sign. There's a process that a farmer can then initiate, and it's called arbitration. And we go to an arbitrator. Two independent adjusters go out, and I won't get into the whole mechanics. So the bottom line is, farmer gets someone, we appoint someone independent, and they go out and they align. I'm going to ask Baillie, put Baillie on the spot. In 11 seasons, how many arbitrations? How many times has a farmer refused to sign a proof of loss, and we've had to go to arbitration?
Well, we've done thousands and thousands of claims over those years, and I can't.
Oh, thousands, like last year alone was, yeah.
And of those many thousands of claims that we've covered in those 10 years now, going into 11, I think one hand would probably count the number of claims that we've actually gone back to on an appraisal. And most of them, they're not confrontational. Most of them are just a difference of opinion. And when we're finished, very often, almost all the time, everyone is satisfied that we've come to the best resolution we could. But the key is we try, and we make certain that we always return, and we try to do the very best we can to pay our losses. And that's how we keep and build a strong customer loyal base.
I gotta just repeat what Baillie just said. Said a handful, and I'll say the number. What I expected him to say was less than 10, because I know it's less than 10. Yeah. Think about that for a second, Tracy. You've now had, and if I had to do the math just off the top, and maybe we should know the number, Baillie, but I would have to say we're probably in the neighborhood of 6, 7, 8,000 claims over the course of our company history, and we've had less than 10. Well, 10% would be of 7,700. 1% is 70. 0.1% is 7. So basically, let's call it 1 in 1,000 customers say, we don't agree with your loss adjusting. That's a pretty compelling record that we're proud of.
Absolutely. You know what? I love that too. As a business owner, isn't that the way you want to do business? To keep, like you said, Baillie, to keep customers and get them returning? To me, that's a beautiful way to operate, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I have my own farmland, and I operate on a custom arrangement. One of the most important things for us in the fall, especially, is when that harvest is coming off, we need parts for our equipment, and we have to move because those crops have to be in the bin. Now, we have service people in the area where my farmland is, and they are there till late in the evening. They're even there on Sundays. That is exactly the same model that we operate on with Ag Direct. We are available 7 days a week, starting basically at the beginning of June when the season opens up. We are available 7 days a week, basically limitless hours. Now, I know someone might say, well, that's virtually impossible. Well, if it is, we do the impossible, but we make certain that we are there for our customers. They can phone at 6:30 in the morning. They can phone at 11 o'clock at night, 7 days a week. And if you think, well, that can't be, why not call us? If you're one of our clients, call us if you need to. We will be there for you.
Nice. I love it.
And Baillie said something really important. He said June, and we're talking now from the claims perspective, but we open for business this week. Our rates are now available, and farmers can go online and if you don't mind, I'll just say it real quick. And go to agdirecthail.com, www.agdirecthail.com, and they can. If they don't have an account with us, and there's no obligation, it's simply set up an email and a password. So we know if you end up purchasing a policy from us, where that policy is going to reside, and we have a customer associated with an email and a password. We now have, in the years, we now have about 7,000 farmers in our database. And when we went live, we see the spike in website traffic because farmers are going on and checking our rates. We love feedback regarding our rates. Anytime someone has a question about it, just give us a call on the toll-free line, which is 1-855-686-5596. And I'll repeat that one more time before we go at the end here. So that's the basically the sales office when we're open for business this week. Policies expire October 31st, but when Baillie referenced that early June, that's when, when did we get hail last year, Baillie? I want to say it was like the June 9th or 10th or something, wasn't it? Wasn't it like, it was early?
Some Well, it is. Some of our clients in Alberta seed even in late April. So by the month of May, some of their crops are coming out of the ground and there is hail. So there is the odd occasion when we'll be out in the month of May. But basically at the start of June, we have claims that begin to come in. And that's when our office is operating in full capacity.
Wonderful. You guys, this has been so valuable. The whole walkthrough of who you are, what you do, the adjustment process, how important the farmer is, your mission, vision to actually help the farmer. Beautiful. And Bruce, unless you guys have anything else that you want to add in there, I'm going to get you to remind us of the great news that you shared at the beginning, and then do a final call to action and call out where they can go and find more information. Floor is yours.
Well, I appreciate that. Just again, very quickly, Ag Direct Hail Insurance, we're proud of where we've been and we're proud of where we're going. The business model has and will always be as competitive as rate as we can, coupled with compelling customer service, professional claims handling. When I talk about rates this year, Ag Direct is taking the unprecedented move of selling our crop hail insurance at 2023 rates or below. As with any other insurance product, the minute you have a claim is the minute the insurance company typically takes that opportunity to increase the rates. When we looked at everything that was facing farmers, and again, I don't want to make it sound like this is unlike any other year, because farmers are challenged every year. But this year in particular, we said, let's give them a break. So that's why we decided hold the rates or go below, and let's give our Prairie customers and Prairie farmers a bit of a break. Let's face it, a well-deserved break. And if they would be so kind as to consider us for crop hail insurance, we obviously have a great returning customer base. I do want to mention, Tracy, that anyone that's been with us, and now we have about 2/3 of every policy we sell comes with a 5% discount on the premiums. How does that happen? Well, that's because every consecutive year a farmer purchases with us, they earn an additional 1% discount. So if you purchased from us last year for the first time, you're going to get a 1% discount this year. We now have many of our customers, because they've been with us, some of them 11 years, this will be 11 years, where we're giving them the full 5% discount. And that's on top of the competitive rates. So if someone wants to start, with Ag Direct this year, and take advantage of all those things we've talked about, but not just the rates, but the compelling customer service and claims handling, and Baillie and his team, then they can start to earn their discount going forward. But again, register. If you don't have an account, register simply an email and a password by visiting agdirecthail.com or giving us a call toll free at 1-855-686-5596. And you want to talk to Baillie about loss adjusting before you make that final purchase decision, just give us a call and he'd be more than happy to speak to you.
Absolutely.
All right. You guys, this has been an incredible episode. I love what you're doing, and I'm so happy and thankful that you came on the show. Bruce, Baillie, thank you both very much.
Thank you, Tracy.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you, Tracy.
And you guys in the audience, if you love what you heard and you find value in it, go check out the website. Links will all be on the show page, and we will see you next week, guys. Thank you.